I saw this post on Instagram the other day and the creator was like, does the process know that I'm trusting it? And I literally laughed out loud because I understood the sentiment behind that so much, of being like, okay, everyone says trust the process and then things will happen. Like, I'm trusting it. Why aren't things happening? Am I not trusting it right? Like, what does trusting the process even look like? So if you're someone that feels that way and is questioning what that even means, you have clicked on the right video. What's up, baddies? You are now tuned in to the Arab and Thriving Show, and I'm your host, Rima. I want to talk about how to know whether you're actually trusting the process or not. Funny enough, trust the process is the text that is written on the vision board that I made last year for this year. And so I look at it every single day. It's right by like where I do the dishes in my kitchen. It's a message that I knew that I needed because I knew that I wasn't trusting the process. It took me a whole year of just staring at this vision board for me to actually know what it feels like to trust it. The person that wasn't trusting it and the person who is now trusting it are literally two different people. If you watched my last video on how you're being chosen, I talk about the two areas in my life that I'm currently laser focused on. And those two areas are my career as an influencer, as a content creator, and eventually a serial entrepreneur, and as someone who is trying to lose weight. Now, these two things might seem, and in many ways are, completely different. They require two very different sets of habits or activities. The underlying pattern in my success and lack of success in these areas helped me really realize that I have not been trusting the process. I'm a person, and this might sound like you too, especially if you're a YouTube girly. I spend days upon days researching, thinking, reflecting, visualizing, writing, whatever, before I decide on a process, okay? And I thought that that's what was helping me eventually like trust the process. You spend so much time investing yourself in it because you research all the best things around weight loss or how to be most sustainable with your weight loss. You've learned from all your trial and error. Or when it comes to being a creator, you've researched all the tips and tricks of like making videos. You've researched so much. Sometimes that in itself is self-sabotage. The fact that you're just spending so much time learning because you have this internal belief that you have to learn more and that's why you're not being successful. When in reality, you're not putting yourself in a process for you to trust it. You're just spending time obsessing and perfecting the process. And anyone who's been successful at anything understands that actually trusting the process means putting yourself in it. Like, you have to have enough trust to just say, okay, I've done enough, I've researched enough, I've decided enough, and now it's time for me to just do the thing that I'm trying to trust, right? So by the time I start the process that I told myself I need to trust, I'm already kind of exhausted because I've just spent so much time in decision fatigue or perfection paralysis. I would start this process. Let's say that the process is working out a certain amount of times a week, eating within a specific amount of calories, and then I would always do that thing consistently for a few weeks, maybe a month or 2 months, and somehow, some way, without fail. And mind you, I would do this with content creation too. I would upload a video every week. 2 months in, I don't like the progress that I'm making and I ruin it. So that led to me learning a lot about self-sabotage. I started questioning, like, why am I sabotaging? I started kind of like reading books about self-sabotage and realizing that like some people self-sabotage because they're afraid of success. And that was one that I found particularly compelling because it's like, no, girl, I want to be successful. Why would I be afraid of success? But then I uncovered that like, yeah, I am actually afraid of some elements of success. I'm afraid that if I grow my career the way I want to, there will be more eyes on me, which ultimately means more people there to judge me and like me or not like me. And I knew internally that I wanted to protect myself from judgment of other people. And so by not putting myself out there as consistently as I wanted to, I was inherently protecting myself from growing an audience of people that could potentially judge me. So that was a super helpful realization. With my body goals, there was also a little bit of fear of success because I'm like, I've lost weight before and I haven't maintained it. And I have never beat myself up more in life than when I gain weight back after losing it. So maybe if I protect myself from even losing weight at all, then I'm not going to beat myself up from ruining something. It's such an ironic thing because you're kind of still ruining it. You're just ruining it before you get to a place that you want to go. None of these things make sense logically, but it doesn't matter because the subconscious wiring in your brain is controlling your behaviors in some ways, even and especially if it doesn't make sense, because emotionally things don't always have to make sense for that to be ruling the way that you think. We often believe that we are much more rational than we really are. So those were two key points of like why I self-sabotage. Like, cool, okay, you're afraid of success, right? But then as of recently, I've done a lot of work on that. So now that I'm not afraid of success, I've really worked through a lot of that whole like playing small for other people, playing small so that I don't judge myself. And I'm ready to unleash. So I'm ready to get consistent. But then I uncovered another fear that was kind of making me sabotage my success midway. And it's the fear of being wrong. A lot of people frame this as a fear of failure, but I want to say, for me at least, it's a little bit different than that. I'm okay with my micro failures. I can post a video and have it flop, and I'm not going to be stressed about that. I've had videos flop on TikTok, and I've just been a machine, like posting every day, and trying as much as I possibly can to detach. I'll tell you a story of what happened recently. It kind of scarred me, and this is with weight loss. It might be triggering for you. If you're not someone who's ready to hear about like weight loss stuff, then this might not be the right conversation for you. But I'm always gonna keep it real with you guys and be open and raw, because that's just me. I was in a competition with one of my friends, and we had hung out in Florida, but a few months later we were gonna all meet up again and go to France. So he and I were both trying to lose weight. So he's like, let's do a competition. Whoever loses the most weight percentage wise, this person, like, he weighs way more than me just naturally. He's like 6'4", so it wasn't fair to say like who lost the most amount of pounds. So we made it like percentage of pounds relative to your weight, right? So I'm like, bet. I'm competitive as hell. Like, one thing about me is I'm very competitive. I'm gonna put my head down. We agreed to compete. I was doing Orange Theory already 5 times a week, but I amped it up to 8 times a week. And if you're like, girl, what? There's only 7 days a week. Yeah, like I was still going 5 days a week, but 3 of those 5 days I was doing 2 a day. I would do like my typical 60-minute HIIT workout with them, and then I would also do a 45-minute weight focused workout. I'm like, I'm killing the game. I am so focused on my body and like my health. And I mean, my eating could have been better, but I'm like, girl, you're burning on average 1,200, 1,400 calories every single day. Like, even my off days, I would make sure I'm walking. So I was going hard, and I left it all on the court. I really left it all on the court. And during this period, I wasn't weighing myself because I didn't want to check the scoreboard. Okay. And this is a thing that I want to talk about after. But I felt it was important to put my head down for these few months and not check the scoreboard, because I trusted the freaking process, you guys. Okay. I'm like, girl, you're working out so hard. You're trusting the process. You don't need to check the scoreboard. Just trust it, and just know that like the day before you go to France, you'll weigh yourself and the weight will be off. I'm still so traumatized by this. The day before I went to France, I weighed myself. Baddies. I did not lose 1 pound. I did not lose 1 pound. And I know a lot of you are gonna be like, yeah, but you were building muscle. You're right. My body looked better. Like, it really did look better, but it didn't matter, because to me, not only was the competition about weight loss, like on the scale, the number, which was dumb, but whatever, that's what I had agreed to, but it just fueled all of my negative thoughts that I'd already been trying to work through around fear of failure and feeling like you did the wrong thing in the you shouldn't have trusted the process. Like, that was the belief that stuck in my head, is I shouldn't have, I was stupid to trust the process. And I remember, like, I told Ahmed, I was like, I just need like 5 minutes. I just cried in the shower. I'm like, I'm gonna let myself bitch about this for 5 minutes, and then I'm just gonna like work through it, because I'm not about to sit here and be sad. Like, I'm about to go on vacation and whatever. That uncovered something for me, because the way I reacted was very indicative of the fact that there was some trauma there. It wasn't just that moment. It was indicative of feeling misled or misguided or even betrayed by the scale. Like, imagine giving that much power to like a piece of technology. But that's how I felt. I felt betrayed. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I was foolish for trusting the process. So it uncovered this thing that I used to do that I'm working through, where I am scared to take the wrong route. Imagine like a metaphor of me starting here and wanting to get here and being like, okay, I'm gonna carve out this intricate, well-researched process, and I'm going to trust it, and then I'm going to set out on that process. My biggest fear in these moments is 6 months down the line, or whatever, whenever I set this goal for myself, 1 year down the line, picking my head up and realizing I'm not where I wanted to be, and I actually went in the wrong direction, or I took steps backwards, or I just completely miscalculated whether this was gonna get me to where I wanted to go. And while that's a very real, understandable fear, nobody wants to plug something into their GPS and then end up somewhere else. It was paralyzing me mentally, where I just wouldn't start anything, or even if I was theoretically halfway to where I wanted to be, I would just interrupt the process because of that fear of the time running out of what I said and not getting to where I wanted to go. So again, this exact thing that happened with the France thing of like, before I went to Europe, where I'm like, this was my time limit. And I spent all of this time and energy and effort and emotion and like workouts beating my ass, right? And at the end of my journey, I picked my head up, supposed to be at least somewhere, and it feels like I haven't traveled at all. And it's that waste of time. It's that fear of being wrong about what you were gonna do. I had to really, really release that and understand that I wasn't trusting the process. If you are giving yourself an unrealistic timeline, in my case, I was trying to lose I wanna say 15 pounds in 3 months, which could be realistic, but the actions I was putting in and the result that I was measuring my success by wasn't actually sensible. If I'm going to be working out and burning all these calories but focusing on my muscle gain, the number isn't the best metric to assess whether I'm burning fat. I should have done a body fat percentage situation. All of that being said as well, I need to give my body time. I can't just say 2 or 3 months and just expect that to be enough time for me to load these goals that I have. So what I've done recently as a way to help me actually trust the process and not just lie and say I'm trusting the process is tell myself that I don't have this strict timeline. I have these strict behaviors that I want to take on, and if I can focus on those habits and trust that those habits will get me to where I want to go, but if I can just ease up on having this strict timeline, that made me feel like I could trust the process even more. Because I'm like, this is going to lead me to success. Same thing with this YouTube thing and with this content creator thing. I don't know when things are gonna pop off, but if I can just put my head down and make a video and post it every day, if I could just commit to that, then mathematically, okay, it's going to pop off at some point. I'm not God. I don't want to play God. I don't want to pretend like I know when things will work. It's okay to have goals and, timelines, but I don't want to get so attached to that, because for me, when I get so attached to that, and if things don't happen the way I said I wanted them to happen, it makes me call into question the whole process. And so theoretically, if I gave myself 30 days to blow up on TikTok, and let's say what I was going to theoretically post on day 31 was going to be the thing that actually grew my audience exponentially. And let's say on day 30, I pick my head up, check the scoreboard, and realize I'm not where I want to be, I'm losing, whatever. And then I just give up, and then I lost out on the opportunity of day 31. That's the mindset that's similar to the art of detachment. To me, trusting the process means I have an intention. I know that if this is a desire that I have to be leaner and to lose fat around my stomach and around my arms, that's okay that I want that. There's nothing wrong with me wanting to lose weight, but it's when I start to get into the intricate details of this is going to happen by this date that I start getting attached to things playing out that way. And so when they don't play out that way, because God is the best of planners, weight loss is a little bit more, I would say, what you put in, you get out. But still, I'm a woman. My body isn't always going to respond in the exact ways that I want it to respond, especially when you're measuring things with the scale. When I have this crazy attachment to a result happening by a specific time, it starts to call into question the entire process. I've got to say, I am officially a YouTube girly now because my battery died, and I just always think it's so cool when people be like, my camera battery died. Surrender is when you are able to actually have fun in the process and not constantly look up and check the scoreboard. Every time you look up and check the scoreboard, you are interrupting the momentum and the energy that it takes to continue on the path that you've already decided to trust. The second you decide you're gonna do something, do not betray yourself by picking your head up and looking around. It's kind of like when someone blindfolds you and they wanna take you somewhere. It's you don't open the blindfold and look around, because it's none of your business what route they're taking. Obviously, if someone's kidnapping you. If someone you trust, imagine God is holding your hand and just pulling you on this direction. You're not gonna disrespect God or someone that you trust by being are you sure we're going the right way? Are you sure it's supposed to take this long? Don't disrespect or betray yourself when you've decided to put your head down and trust a process by constantly looking up and checking the score. God and the universe works in very mysterious ways. Don't apply your logic or rational thinking of how things should play out to a process that is often so much more spiritual and godly and divine than it is logical. Things don't have to make sense for you for them to ultimately make sense for your life. That's really what I mean by stop checking the scoreboard. Just put your head down, engulf yourself in this process that you're in, and most importantly, have fun with it. That is the main difference between the person back in the day when I was deciding not to weigh myself but putting my head down. That's the difference between the person that thought she was trusting the process and the person today who is trusting the process. And I'll just be real with you guys. Like, I look in the mirror and I don't really see that much of a difference, but I'm putting my head down and I'm trusting the process and I'm having fun with it. And I'm not letting the scoreboard affect me, because it's like, I've decided to trust this. And most importantly, I'm actually having fun with it. And I have so much faith that this thing is going to happen for me, which has truly enabled me to surrender and engulf myself in that process and be present. The results will come if you just decide that what you've set out to do is enough. If you've decided that the process that you're deciding, again, to trust is the right one, you just need to decide that. Do not allow that voice to come in at different parts of your process and tell you like you're actually going the wrong way. Oh, you shouldn't have done that. Oh, you did that thing yesterday. Now you've ruined everything. Do your best to just buckle down and decide that you are right about this. Decide that you are taking one foot in front of the other, and that will ultimately lead to where you want to go. Because I know this for a fact, and I know with those two parts of my life that I've told you I'm focused on right now, my career and my body goals, I know I'm going to look back at this video and be like, I was right. Like, I was right in the fact that like the only reason I haven't gotten what I wanted yet is because I haven't put my head down for long enough and stopped checking the scoreboard and interrupting my process. And I'll look back on this video and I'll be like, wow, this was actually the phase in my life where I've decided to just buckle down and put my head down and have these blinders on and be tunnel vision and just keep going and watch my habits and my behaviors and my efforts compound on each other to create something so much better than I could have ever even imagined. So I want to give you some of that certainty. It's truly you against you. It's you deciding that what you're doing is enough and what you're doing is right. If you need that, please take it and always come back here for more, because I'm going to be posting a lot more about this. If there are specific questions you have about trusting the process or even just manifestation, always feel free to drop them below. Some of my best content ideas come from other people's questions. I love you so, so, so much. Please never forget, stay powerful, my love.